I got so many stories. You can't have enough film in your camera for me to tell you all the stories of my life as a trumpet player and big bands, because I got so many stories.
Meet Pauly Cohen, a lead trumpeter and survivor of the swing era.
Here I am, 90. I never thought I'd be 90.
We'd like to introduce Pauly Cohen.
There was a time from 1935 to 1946 when jazz orchestras dominated the pop charts, and musicians like Benny Goodman and Artie Shaw were superstars. As a young trumpeter who grew up during the Depression, Pauly Cohen was an avid big band enthusiast, and by the time he was 15, he was already working in Brooklyn-based groups. Destined for a greater role in the limelight, the young trumpeter moved to Manhattan after graduating from high school, looking for work with a traveling band. That began a career and a devotion to big band music that has endured for nearly 75 years. Today, the swing era may be history, but Pauly Cohen still leads his own big band in South Florida, now home to the swing era veterans who play in his orchestra. At age 90, an age that finds any survivors resting comfortably, Pauly Cohen is busy, keeping the big band tradition alive, playing the trumpet, and working on himself.
I've known Paul for many, many years, but now that we're down here in Florida, and as you can see, most of the musicians are what you would say in advanced age. We're still very grateful that there is a man that will provide a library and a place to play.
I'm 90 years old, and all I am is a trumpet player.
Pauly is a guy who has not only done it, meaning he's been a professional musician for 70 plus years, but he's done it right. He's done it well.
I grew up in Brighton Beach in Brooklyn, and I learned how to play the trumpet from my father. And when I got to be 8 years old, he said, "Bobby, come in." He used to call me Bobby, never Paul. I was always Bobby at home. It's short for Bupkis, whatever. I want you to play over here. It says America. Can you see what it says the 1 and 3, 1 and 2? Those are the buttons you put down to play the melody. Now I want you to play America. Da 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 da. Here I am playing it. Okay. Where you going? Come here. Play it again. All right. Well, my father. I'll play it again. I played it again. Then I went out and played. Now from then on, I thought playing the trumpet was easy. Nothing to it. I say my whole personality has changed. In 1950, I believed I was right in everything I did. Ha! Now, I question almost everything I did, or everything I do. You all play so wonderful, all you guys. And to read this music is very difficult. I want you to know that. Not too many people I know, not too many professionals that I know can play what you just did this past hour and a half.
Although Pauly Cohen would become a respected trumpeter in his early 20s, he had to work hard to overcome the limitations of his childhood.
My parents always were in some kind of argument who's going to be, I had to be a judge. And I wasn't going to be a judge at 15, 13, 12, 11. I didn't like that idea at all. That's the reason why I studied so hard to play the trumpet. I knew that was my way of getting out of that place. that's why I was very inward, all the things. So when I got out to Broadway and stayed at the Farms Hotel, I met all these guys at the bar. I got to socialize with these guys. I learned who they were, how they played, how I wanted them to hear me. And I auditioned for as many bands one time, about 18 or 20 bands. I didn't care who I played with. I just wanted them to know I can play the trumpet. I'll tell you how. I am Pauly Cohen going to Manhattan. I left my home in Brooklyn. I'm now residing at the Forest Hotel, West 49th Street, between Broadway and 8th Avenue. I'm now meeting some people from Boston, from Texas, from Oklahoma, California. They're all congregating in New York City, waiting for the bus to take them on a one-nighter. So I'm at the bar. I'm buying drinks for people because I wanted to like me. I put a pack of cigarettes in there. I don't smoke, but I mimic it, smoking. Have a cigarette. Give me a tab. And then all of a sudden, hey, Pauly. I tell him, who's that? You. Somebody yelled, Pauly, because I was very diminutive. I'm short, chubby, fat. They used to pinch my cheek because I had red cheeks like a little kid. And I used to hate that because it hurt. That's how I became Pauly. Before you know it, everybody started calling me Pauly. Every band leader I worked with, they didn't know me as Pauly Cohen anymore. I'm Pauly Cohen. Playing music keeps you alive. The challenge of playing music with different people and sight reading is good for your brain.
For your distinguished contributions to big band jazz. So let's give it up for Pauly here.
Yeah, too much.
All right.
I'm now going to eat my cake. And I'm going to sit down when I eat my cake. Or it'll fall down.
Awesome. Fabulous. There's a lot to learn.
And I literally picked trumpet because it had 3 valves. I thought it'd be easier. So
That's a very good reason.
and I was wrong.
I got a small little apartment. My wife died. I got 3 rooms. And I got stuff all screwed around. But I managed to make it from day to day.
Absolutely.
You know, I love the way I cook because I don't like to go out and eat, except at some party with him, guests. So we go out in the restaurant and eat. It's not too bad. Doesn't as good as what I make.
Playing the trumpet is a Herculean task. Soloists are revered, but for other musicians and big band enthusiasts, lead trumpeters are the superheroes. There are trumpeters who play with taste, and others who have strength. The lead player needs both, living in the stratospheric upper register, the most demanding and exhausting range of the horn, while simultaneously providing an interpretation of the arrangement that everyone else can clearly follow. For over 50 years, Pauly Cohen played the lead trumpet part in trumpet sections in Hollywood and New York recording studios, at CBS and other staff orchestras, in show bands backing Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett, and in the big bands of Charlie Barnet, Tommy Dorsey, Artie Shaw, Quincy Jones, and Clark Terry.
Somebody needs to be in charge. That's your job. You want to be a lead trumpet player? You have to lead.
Lead trumpet player means that you take the responsibility of your voice leading this band.
Musicianship has to be pretty high because they sometimes have to interpret things and create lines, create musical phrases while playing.
Dun, 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 rip, dun. You're able to get that same sound and rip the notes up, going ta-ta, you go, rip, dun, 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 rip, dun. Exciting, you know?
So we played it again, and Pauly took it up an octave, and it was like one of the first times that I'm sitting next to somebody that strong and that musical, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, holy Jesus, how does anybody play like this?
Your attitude to play lead trumpet means that you're the boss. And even though little snot nose, I wanted to be the boss. And you come in exactly the way you're supposed to come in to let them know this is how you're supposed to come in. Don't be late, don't be early, be with me. I've always been in charge, lead trumpet player. With all the band leaders I worked for, always depended upon me to always be there for them, take charge of the band. They never said it, but they didn't have to say it. They paid me well for being a lead trumpet. So I understand what it is to take charge.
How are ya?
Fine, thank you. You look fabulous. You look terrific.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Cohen, 90 years young. When I first started playing in this band, I was like in my middle 60s. I was ready to take the horn, kick it under the bed. That's enough, I'm done. Let me take up golf or something. When I get to his band and I see these guys 20 years older than me playing their ass off, I'm thinking, holy Jesus, so I had to dig out my fingering chart. I'm just, man, I'm getting back into it.
Once Pauly established himself as the go-to lead trumpeter in New York, he wasn't afraid of anyone, even someone as important as Tommy Dorsey.
Because I was tough on leaders. They better do the right thing for me or I'm gone, I was so independent. But I worked for Tommy 3 different times. And one of the worst pricks in business because he was unbending in his castigation of you if he felt you weren't doing the job. We were coming in from the road to New York to work the Statler, New York, for 8 weeks. And we had to do some extras, records and so and so. And Count Basie, the manager, made a speech one night, told us like, oh, by the way, guys, the extra things will not be on your salary slip, because we had to do that with I said to Tino, 2-week notice. I want to get paid for working those record dates. He went to Tommy. Tommy said to me, Paul, you're in your hometown. You want to go home every night and sleep with your wife in your bed. Why would you want to give notice? I said, Tom, I want my money. If I'm going to play a record date, I deserve to get paid for it. And that's what I want. Thank you so much. I enjoyed working for you. 3 days before we came into Statler, Count Basie, the manager, came up and said, Paul, you got your money.
When he wasn't on the road, Pauly worked on Broadway. But even when he had a steady job, he was always on call.
I was playing for Mr. Wonderful with Sammy Davis Jr. on Broadway. Dizzy called me and said, Paul, come and fill in for Quincy Jones. Quincy has to leave. So he came in and they played the book just like he wrote it. So he was impressed because I've worked with him with Earl Hines' band. And I read the book right off, and it got to be a reputation in New York. Something happens with a trumpet player, call Paul Cohen, he can read around the corner. Because Dizzy coined that phrase about Pauly Cohen.
I was at the Fontainebleau for many years. My husband was the entertainment director. And one night, I had come in to see a rehearsal of the band before the show went on in the Laurent room, where Frank Sinatra and Margaret and all the other, Judy Garland and all the other stars worked in that particular room. I came in one night and there is this guy and he is mouthing off at someone. And I said to my husband, I says, who is this man? And he says, his name is Paul Cohen. Don't listen to what he's yelling at. But when he puts his lips to his instrument, the trumpet, there was nothing more that you can say.
I think I separate myself from my playing lead trumpet to my life, but maybe I don't. A very dear friend of mine, Harvey Strand, I worked with him, and he told me, Paul, you're a little too confrontational. He put it politically. He said, what you need is go to a psychoanalyst. I'll give you my psychoanalyst. You should go to him. I was very intimidated by people because I was a hick from Brooklyn. And I didn't have the culture that some of the people I worked with had more culture from where they came from, their background, than I did, And I felt that intimidation many times. I was very aware of people talking about me, even though they weren't.
Oh.
Before that, I thought I was the only one. You're laughing. And let me tell you something. There was a trumpet player at Charlie's Bar We used to go there to have drinks at the musician bar. There's a guy sitting at the end of the bar by himself drinking, and he would be laughing. He'd be talking like this, and he'd be laughing. Like he had somebody told a dirty joke. It was him telling himself a dirty joke. Somebody else told him. He just remembered it. That was pretty fun. Now that's pretty out there. He's pretty out there. So I said, look at him. I think I got problems. What about him? After I left analysis, I realized that whatever I feel about myself, that I'm not that good at something or not strong or understanding of something, I say, well, everybody got problems, so maybe I'll find some other way. One thing about analysis does, it makes you understand that you're still the boss of who you are. You now take charge of yourself and you're going to start changing a little bit. When somebody says something about something and you overhear it, don't think it's about you. I thought you were like my son more or less. I want to take care of you. I'll show you some things that I did, you know, either crazy or good or something, you know. It's like a kaleidoscope. And you have the camera on, watch what Pauly Cohen.
He was recommended to me as a teacher by Samulano, drummer and drum teacher of some note. And I met him in the pit, which is where, if there was any justice in the world, he'd still be.
When we met, I talked to you like the same. Never thought you were a kid.
I would come for lessons on Wednesdays between shows in the pit of the Broadhurst Theater. We would sit in the trumpet section. He could really play the trumpet, played it with a gorgeous sound. I was really interested in the sound. He was a stern teacher, very stern. Some might say abusive. I jest only slightly. I mean, he was really about no kidding around. And he clearly had an interest in my learning to play this instrument and taught me things that I really needed to know.
What happened afterward was I had got a call to join a band in Florida. And they needed a trumpet player, and they needed one more trumpet player. So I asked you, remember? I said, why don't you come down with me? There's a spot there you could play with me. This guy was so adult for his age that they were all might have been a 15 or 18 years difference. I never treated him like a child or as a youngster, a teenager. He was my pal.
He used to keep booze in his locker in the theater where I get the lessons. And I was in high school. I had a locker. So I decided to keep booze in my locker. I added it to the marijuana. I already had the marijuana in the locker, but now I thought booze too. I didn't even drink it, but I kept it. Do you remember bringing home hookers from the dog track?
Bringing home cookies from where?
The dog track.
We brought cookies home for the dog track?
You don't remember this?
No, man. Well, I thought about it. I had the blinkers on. What was the best dog to play? Did he do that? Because not that I had that many affairs in my lifetime with a strange chick. Right. I usually went with a gal, you know, we had a little romance and do that. But here I'm out of town, I'm out of another world. What am I doing in the Dominican Republic for a week with a Latin band, you know? Right. And I'm out of my mind, I'm stoned out. So what's this? Venture, let's go to a whorehouse. See what it's like with these guys talking about all my life. Well, I used to take Richie everywhere I went because I was in my gambling phase. I would go to the dog track at night, and in the afternoon I'd go to the racetrack because I thought I was a handicapper. I didn't realize I was handicapped. And I had some real good days, and I had some really bad days, you know, not too smart. I thought I could beat those. You can't beat the races, but I enjoyed just the action, because I wanted the action.
We once drove by a highlight place.
Yeah.
And I said, Pauly, why don't we go in this highlight place? And why aren't we betting on this?
Right.
He says, I don't bet on people.
Presentable?
Very.
Okay. I thought so.
In addition to his protege, Richard Dubin, many of Pauly's most meaningful relationships have been with African Americans, who have served both as friends and mentors.
All musicians who could play, I wanted to be associated with. If they were black, well, most of them were black. I didn't think any prejudice because I was like a completely neuter gender. Right. If they treat me good, I treat them good. You want to be a bastard? I'll just try to ignore it. It was only through Benny Harris that I learned about black people when he took me uptown. Because he wanted to see Ella Fitzgerald, and he left me at the bar, at the Braddock Bar. Oh, nothing but black people there. And he said, give him a drink and I'll be right back. And nobody bugged me. Then Benny Harris took me there. I sat there. So, and at the Teresa Bar, Teresa Hotel Bar, same thing, you were going to see Ella. And he took me uptown. He used to come down and say, Paul, he used to come to the forest. Come on, come with me. We're going uptown. I said, okay. I mean, I allowed myself to be led because I knew it was a good thing. I had such confidence in these people, more so than white people, because no white people did that for me. I had to learn how to deal with white people on my own. I had to learn how to deal with white people. I wasn't too good at it either. I was more comfortable with black people. If I wanted a brother, it was Howard McGhee, was my brother. And that's why I acted towards him. And I was fortunate because not too many people in my era could have that relationship or even thought about it. I just lucked into it. I could say, look, because I was friendly with Benny Harris, and all the black arrangers in New York City always wanted me to play their charts. When I was with the band, they said, give the first spot to Paul Cohen. They were always very kind to me. They liked my talent, but also liked me personally because I had the mute on. I never tried to get out of line or show them I'm somebody. I always thought I ain't nothing. If I come somebody by luck or by experience, God bless me. But until then, whatever you want, I'm going to do. I became very conscious of my friendship with black musicians. I felt very akin to them. And a white person would come who I knew, I would feel a little uncomfortable. It got to the point when I was talking with a black person and a white person came over, I felt funny. I knew I was white. I mean, it's obvious I'm white. I'm white. I know that. But when I hung out with these people, it never buzzed in my mind that I was any different than they were. In Washington, when I played with Charlie Barnet, I went to a drugstore and there was a cute little black chick laughing about it. She was hysterical, laughing. So I came over to her and said, what the hell are you laughing at? Well, what are you yelling at yourself? Why don't you come with me? I was no more than 19 or 20. Maybe I was 21. I took her in a cab and took her to my place. And we had an affair. And when I was in Boston, I sent her money to come to Boston with me. And she came to Boston. And we slept together for 24 hours straight. I mean, I was pretty hot in those days, full of piss and vinegar. That was really my first love, was Stephanie. She was a high school teacher eventually. When I talk about it, I still see her face before me. I was too wild at that time. I appreciated her at the same time. I couldn't be serious with anybody at that time. I played for Artie Shaw, Charlie Barnet, Tommy Dorsey, Benny Goodman, but playing for Basie was a culmination of my life as a lead trumpet player because he demanded certain things that I could give him. first joined Basie's band, my feet never touched the ground. Of course, that band every night was swinging. And I loved swinging bands.
All lead players set the tone. The lead trumpet, I think, and alto are parts that people's ear gravitate. So it's got to be pure. You got to be pinging. You got to be doing it. And of course, the Basie band has had a legacy of great trumpet players. Anyway, it's very important, and Pauly was very good.
I always try to tell people, see, Basie was a hipster, but he also appreciated pleasing the public. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why he liked me, because I was very commercial. I played a straight melody. Yeah, I played a little high, but I played a straight melody. That's what he liked. I only had my band 20 years. He had his band as long as he lived, from Kansas City on. And he was a great guy to work for. So when I wanted to leave one time to go with my wife, we had 2 days off on Thanksgiving. We were in Detroit. We were going to go to Detroit. We were someplace else. I wanted to take off that day. Instead of going with the band and laying off someplace, I was going to go to New York and fly back to Detroit. And I said, I got a trumpet player, black trumpet player, take my place, so you'll have somebody there. So he says, no way. Bass, you would deprive me of a vacation with my wife, and I got your trumpet player, and he said, well, I want to get the trumpet player. And I don't want you to go, because it's an important day. We're playing a musician's lodge, you know. It was important for me to be there. You can't walk. I said to him, Bass, how long have you had a band? 40, 50 years? How many guys to replace in this band? And I can't leave for 2 days. A day off, 1 day off? I don't think that's right, Bass. I'm going to do your date. But I want you to know I'm not going to be here too long.
Now we introduce Pauly Cohen on trumpet. Paul has a request for Poor Butterfly.
Pauly worked with Basie off and on throughout the 70s, until a disagreement forced Pauly to leave the band.
2-week notice. I'm going to leave vacation time. I'm not coming back. And I didn't talk to him or look at him for 2 weeks. I let him know. And he suffered a great deal because he missed me. Because he knew I loved him, and he knew that he loved me. And the very fact that he was stupid about that one day, that's the reason why. So that when I was in Miami, I got a call from the manager to join the band in March. I said, no way. Basie wants you. Basie didn't like the very fact, if you come back, he wants you to look at him. I said, I don't work for Basie anymore. He said, get yourself another trumpet player. I took exception to the fact that he was a man, my father image. If I ever had wanted my own father, it would be Count Basie. That's how much I loved this man. I went very much in love with him. When he rejected me for that one day, it hurt me. It hurt me very much. Like nobody hurt me in years. And he didn't know it. Because he knew I'd break my balls to make sure I would make something the very next day for him. Which I did for Miami, I'd do anything for him. And he turned me down. So I acceded to his request. Hurt that I was, but I know that was the end for me and him. I couldn't take it. I just couldn't take it. So that when I saw him in Atlantic City and I was working with Rehearsal International, I was very glad to see him. I forgot about it. It's all over. And I said, I heard the band, and boy, that band sounded, you had a good band here. And you know what he said? But there's no butterfly here. Because he loved me the way I played Poor Butterfly. When you reach 90, every day is a gift. Every day you can walk out without a pain, or so-and-so or something, your arthritis is bothering you, and you say, the hell with it, you go straight ahead. It's nice.
Gave me the greatest advice. He says, Mr. Tchaikovsky, if you want to live to my age, keep your bowels open and your mouth shut.
Who is here who don't have a problem waking up and doing something? We all have problems. It's how we deal with it. I'm very lucky in that respect that I have learned the ability to be with people. And that wasn't that easy for me. Now I see there's other things in life, other people who love me and I love them, and they give me love. And I love everybody because it's nice to be loved. I haven't had a birthday party in about 50 years.
Well, it's time. You waited too long. You had a wife. Why didn't she make a party?
We had a party every night. Are you kidding?
I'm not talking about that kind of party.
That's the kind of party I appreciate.
You dirty old man.
It was clean. We were both clean, very much. We took care of each other. You know why she was great for me? Because she taught emotionally disturbed children in New York. Special ed. She taught special ed. And I never realized how important that was for me until much later in my life. I say, no wonder she was good to me. She dealt with crazy people, people that could hurt her. I miss, of course, I miss that special ed approach.
Happy birthday to you.
And make a shimmer lechel.
Happy birthday, dear.
And somebody sticks it in. Right?
Happy birthday to you.
And thank you all. I hope we're all alive to be here next year, the same place, at the same party.
We'll be here.
I've never had a birthday party as good as this in my entire life. After Count Basie, what's there after that? Where do I go from there? I can start my own band.
Pauly's reputation was great. We all knew that he had played with some of the best bands in the world, including Count Basie. We all knew him as one of the top lead trumpet players from the old school. And we all wanted to work with him, but he didn't get out and work too much. So the only way to play with Pauly was to actually play in his band.
I got to play in Pauly's band when I was just getting out of high school. And I first met Pauly then, and you know, just hearing those guys at that age was a really big deal.
Money is not involved with my band. People are coming here of their own volition because they're going to play some good music. And I always have some good music for them to play. Everybody's going to play in this band. There are no slouches.
One of the ones you told me, it's okay, I don't care, but...
I care. I wanted you.
You did tell me this...
It was always tough being Pauly Cohen, having a reputation, good and bad, wherever I've been. And I lived through it. I made some mistakes as a band when I first started. I was too arrogant about some of the people that, and I was very critical because I had been with the best of the best. But sometimes you can't get the best of the best when you're a band leader. So you have to have patience. And believe me, I've learned patience. You read my mind.
But you should have a more accurate log where you write down, okay, date, this is who's coming, this is who's not coming.
Would you like to come to my apartment and straighten me out? The personal changes because a guy has an appointment with a doctor, his wife is sick, he has to go there, he's got to check his health out. You've got to replace this man. And you only have 1 day a week to rehearse. 1, 2, 1, 2. Wait a minute. Hey! Let's go with this band. Where's that trumpet player? Oh, you're over here. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you gotta stop there. On the fourth bar, you gotta stop. Please. I need that entrance. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we're not together temper-wise.
The lead alto.
That's what I want to know.
Because that's the problem.
I didn't write the fucking lead up part. Whoever played it fucked it up. Before your time, wasn't you. And from letter G, we'll go right ahead. There'll be no extended thing because I have to go home and make dinner. You think I'm kidding? I'm cooking for myself these days. I'm a damn good cook. Don't you? Wait! You gotta listen, Richie. You gotta listen. I said 4 bars in front. You gotta learn how to count. Woo! That's exciting. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The guy is a phenomenon. He wears hearing aids in both ears, and he claims to be a little bit hard of hearing, but he hears each musician, and if he has 17 musicians on the stand, he hears each note they play, and he can tell if they're an eighth off, a quarter off, if they're slow, if they're out of tempo, if they hit a clinker, and he's not afraid to stop the band and do it from the top again. Woe unto the musician who does that twice in one rehearsal, because his 4-letter words are all capitals and all 81 dB. Enjoys what he does, but he's deadly serious about it. He wants what he wants, and what he wants is as close to perfection as he can possibly get it in each number, in each solo, and if he figures he has to do it again and go from the top 3 times, and he kills the musicians, it's part of the price he has to pay for a good rehearsal.
I try to do the best thing for myself and everybody else I'm concerned with. I'm concerned with more people. When in 1950 I had the blinkers on. Only myself. What was good for myself or anybody. Now I think as a band leader now, I think what's good for him, what's good for him, what's good for him. I try to make them look good in my band. I never want to embarrass anybody in my band or embarrass anybody else. That's an important part of my personality now. And I love myself for it. It's amazing what age and maturity can do for you. You may lose a lot of things, but you gain an awful lot so that you can keep going and take it easy on yourself. Love yourself.
just have an ordinary conversation like human beings?
like human
Well, we
beings.
can't do that.
1 and 3.
My
1.
country, 'tis of thee.
No, America. My country, 'tis of thee, mother. Da 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 da. So I played it.
That song.
That song. Into the
That
trumpet.
song is called My Country, 'Tis of Thee.
That's just the first words. That's not the title. The title is America to America. Period.
America the Beautiful is a whole other
That's
song.
another song.
Yeah.
America the Beautiful. America the Beautiful is a different song.
Then America?
Yeah.
What about I Want to Be in America?
That's
West
something you
Side
might have
Story.
written.
I want to
I'm
be in
sure.
America.
Da, 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 da. I know that tune.
No, I just wanted to straighten that out.